You may even think you're living an ordinary life, but what if I told you that there are signs, deep and mystical, that you have been chosen by God for something much greater? No, this isn't about religion, doctrine, or empty self-help. It's about an invisible stamp that differentiates people in the crowd. While many are chasing likes, money or status, there is a reserved, sealed, separate group since the beginning of time, the 144,000 elect. And the most shocking? Many of them don't even know they were chosen. These people carry a real spiritual imprint, which manifests itself in small things: discomfort with sin, sharp intuition, revealing dreams, and even an almost inexplicable resistance in the face of life's pains. Does it seem exaggerated? Maybe. But read on and you'll see that maybe, just maybe, you are among those who have been called to live with spiritual authority, divine mission, and supernatural protection in this end times. Yes, there is a quick reward for those who awaken spiritually: clarity, strength, direction. What if everything you've experienced so far, all the mismatches, all the silences, all that feeling of not belonging, are part of a great cosmic connection, waiting for the right moment to be activated? Get ready. Because in the next few minutes, you will discover 5 spiritual signs that reveal who the true sealed ones are, and what it changes in your life from now on. Since ancient times, there has been a mystery that intrigues the hearts most sensitive to the divine presence: the invisible seal placed on the foreheads of the 144,000 elect. It is not something that is seen with the natural eye, but felt with spiritual perception. This seal of God carries such a strong spiritual call that those who carry it, even without understanding everything, feel different from a very young age. They are the ones who walk against the tide, even without knowing why. Their lives have a cosmic weight, as if each step is aligned with a divine synchronicity. These chosen ones are not perfect, but they possess an insatiable hunger for holiness and a sense of divine mission that haunts them in silence. Sometimes they are the ones who grow up hearing, "You are different, you have something special." Have you ever had that feeling of not fitting in? It may be more than imagination. It may be the Holy Spirit whispering about your spiritual identity. The seal on the forehead is more than symbolic. It is a mark of spiritual authority, recognized by forces that go beyond this visible world. In times of spiritual confusion and moral chaos, this seal becomes a shield. It does not exempt you from challenges, but it does give you divine protection against attacks that would destroy anyone else. I know a woman who survived an accident without a scratch, while everyone around was seriously injured. She knew, God kept me. And so it is with the sealed ones. The end times may approach, but they walk with supernatural resilience, ready to reject sin and fulfill the mission that the heavens have entrusted to them. Something curious happens to those who have been chosen by God. They simply cannot adapt to the standards of this world. It is as if there is a spiritual filter in their eyes, which makes them see the dirt where others see glamour. The rejection of sin is not out of moralism, but out of an internal repulsion that arises naturally. Even in moments of leisure, they feel uncomfortable with music, jokes or attitudes that dishonor the Holy Spirit. The cosmic connection that you have does not leave you alone when you try to live as you all do. It's not easy, of course. Sometimes this generates loneliness, social exclusion, and even family conflicts. I've heard from a young man, "My friends say I'm boring because I don't like clubs, But it's not a matter of liking it or not, it's just that I feel like I don't belong there. This, my friend, is spiritual perception. It is when the spiritual call pulls you out of the illusions of the world, and plants in you a life of holiness. And it doesn't come from the outside in, it comes from the inside out, like a divine code. To deal with this rejection and not feel strange, it is important to feed on what strengthens the soul. Exchanging empty series for mind-expanding documentaries like The Secret or reading books like John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress can be a start. Finding groups that share the same spiritual identity also helps. After all, the 144,000 elect were not called to follow the crowd, but to walk the narrow path, and whoever walks on it soon realizes that he is not alone. There is a force that cannot be explained with human words alone. God's chosen ones, sealed with God's seal, carry a supernatural resilience that impresses even the most skeptical. While many collapse in the face of losses, betrayals, or existential crises, they remain standing. Not because they are strong in themselves, but because there is a divine protection acting from the inside out. It is as if the Holy Spirit sustains them in silence, when everything around them falls apart. I've seen stories that give me goosebumps. A man lost everything in a fire, house, car, business, and yet he said, "God is molding me for something bigger." He understood that suffering is part of the process of spiritual transformation. This is not religious discourse, it's real life. The sealed know that their pains are not random, but part of the preparation for the end times. They don't run away from pain, they go through it with courage, and they come out even stronger. If you are facing a storm and feel like you still have peace, this could be a sign. This calm in the midst of chaos is typical of the 144,000 elect. And you know what helps to maintain this? Feed on the Word, of course, but also practice silence, meditate on texts such as Psalm 91, and keep a spiritual journal to record daily miracles. These habits build a foundation that the enemy cannot tear down. And the firmer you are, the more you'll notice that certain coincidences are not coincidences. There are times in life when everything seems to line up almost magically. You think of someone and they call. You have doubts and a phrase on a billboard brings the answer. This is not chance, it is divine synchronicity. Those chosen by God live surrounded by these subtle signs, which guide their decisions with millimeter precision. They learn to rely not only on logic, but on intuition refined by the Holy Spirit and the spiritual authority they carry. A simple example, a woman prayed for direction about moving to another city. In the same week, 3 different people spoke of the same city, without knowing about the prayer. Coincidence? No. The 144,000 elect live in a flux where the invisible is manifested in gestures, encounters and words that reveal the hand of God. This sensitivity is trainable, it starts with small perceptions and grows as you open yourself up to listening. And listening, sometimes, is more important than acting. Want to build on this? Start by writing down the too strange to be coincidental events. Ask yourself, what does God want to show me with this? Read books like The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, which talk about signs and destiny. It can help you understand the language of heaven on earth. The chosen ones do not follow the common GPS. They follow the spiritual compass that pulsates within the chest. And the more attentive they are to these signs, the more a new dimension of perception opens up. Those chosen by God see the world with a type of lens that cannot be bought in opticians. They feel the environment, capture intentions, perceive pain hidden in smiles. This expanded spiritual perception is not a frills, it is a tool. Sometimes, it's that inexplicable discomfort in a conversation, or a strange weight when entering certain places. This happens because the 144,000 elect have an antenna tuned to frequencies that most ignore. They are the ones who dream about things that later happen, or who have intense sensations without knowing where they come from. It may sound crazy, but it is not, it is divine synchronicity. The Holy Spirit activates in them an unusual sensitivity that often generates spiritual melancholy, that sense that this world is not enough. It is as if their soul longs for heaven. Therefore, it is common for them to be introspective, reflective, and often misunderstood. If you feel it, know it, you are not alone. A good practice is to record your dreams, sensations, and patterns that repeat themselves. Books like The Man Who Calculated or The Celestine Prophecy can open your mind to this universe. Practicing solitude, not solitude, but conscious silence, helps separate what is yours and what is spiritual. The sealed don't just see the visible, they recognize the hidden plot of revelation being woven into the unseen, while the world remains distracted. Have you ever been around someone who completely changes the environment just by being there? Those chosen by God have this effect. It is as if they carry such an intense spiritual field that even those who do not understand faith feel something different. Some approach seeking advice, others simply remain silent. This spiritual authority doesn't come from diplomas or pulpits, it comes from a real experience with the Holy Spirit. It's like a perfume that marks without being seen. And the most curious thing, this presence does not always please. Sometimes it bothers those who are bound by sin or carry hidden intentions. This is not arrogance, it is light beating in the darkness. I've heard stories of people who have drifted away for no reason, just because they're close to someone with a spiritual calling. The 144,000 elected representatives carry this collateral effect. They reveal without words, they awaken without speeches. It is the seal of God in action, bringing about spiritual transformation wherever they go. Want to build on this? Start by cleaning your spiritual house. Practice forgiveness, reject sin deliberately, fast for clarity. I recommend the book, The Authority of the Believer, by Kenneth Hagin. It unlocks a lot. And remember, this authority is not forced, it manifests itself. The more you walk in a life of holiness, the more you become a mirror of Christ. And when that happens, even the subtlest dangers can't touch you. There are people who survive things that would make others go crazy. It is supernatural protection, and those sealed with the seal of God know this reality well. They go through accidents, betrayals, losses, and yet, they are still standing. It's not that they don't hurt, but they don't break. It is as if an invisible shield is always present, guided by spiritual authority and the living action of the Holy Spirit in their lives. This protection manifests itself in different ways. A delay that saves you from an accident. A dream that reveals a trap. A nuisance that prevents a wrong decision. I've seen a girl who felt anguish every time she tried to close a deal, days later, she found out it was a scam. Coincidence? No. The 144,000 elect live surrounded by a divine wisdom that transcends logic. And the more they obey, the more this protection is strengthened. If you feel this, strengthen your sensitivity. Cultivate moments of prayer before important decisions, read Psalm 23 with intention, and write down situations in which you were saved without understanding why. The seal doesn't stop storms, but it does ensure that you cross without getting lost. This stability is the result of a deep, cosmic connection, aligned with the divine mission. Because, in times of chaos, only those who know they are being guided walk with firmness. God's chosen ones were not called to be silent. They are born with an inner fire that drives them to lead, even when they don't want to. It's not about microphone or stage, it's about posture, example, courage. In the dark days we live in, whoever bears the seal of God becomes a beacon. They are the ones who, in the midst of the confusion, stand up and say, "Calm down, there's a right way, and I'll go for it." This leadership is not based on status, but on a life of holiness. It is the kind of influence that transforms just by the way of living. A teacher who prays for students in silence. A housewife who decides to fast for the neighborhood. A young man who evangelizes with attitudes. The 144,000 elect understand that revelation is not just a prophecy, it is an urgent call. They live as if they know that time is short and that the divine mission cannot be postponed. If this resonates with you, it might be time to step into your role. Start small, share a message in the family group, invite someone to pray, create a digital profile with short reflections. Use your voice, even if it trembles. I recommend the book, The Purpose-Driven Life, by Rick Warren. It helps you align your spiritual identity with your mission. Because, on the days when everything gets dark, God lights up leaders. And you can be just that kind of flame. Now that you know these signs, tell me one thing: are you going to keep ignoring the spiritual call that pulsates within you? Or will he start acting like someone who carries the seal of God on his forehead and was born to transform the world? You didn't get here by chance. There is a divine synchronicity driving you. But knowing is not enough, it is time to take a stand. Have you ever noticed how many times you have been protected without knowing it? How many times did you feel that something bigger was at stake? Perhaps it is time to respond to this spiritual call boldly. What kind of content are you consuming? What kind of decisions have you made? Because the 144,000 elect do not live on automatic, they choose each step based on the spiritual insight that the Holy Spirit activates in them. And if that's your case, so you know you're here for a greater purpose. Now answer me, what are you going to change today? What are you willing to give up? What new habits will you start cultivating to align your life with your divine mission? Tell me here in the comments. I want to know what made the most sense to you in this content. And of course, subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and come walk with us on this journey towards a life of holiness, supernatural resilience, and spiritual authority. Because we still have a lot to reveal.